Now, suddenly, in fact, probably even only a week ago, everything has changed. Man United have had the wins and the performances against Tottenham and Man City, and Everton against Chelsea look like a new team under Duncan Ferguson.
Two clubs suddenly blooming with life in that way, just energy coursing through them. United with 2 great performances in a row. Everton with that 1 great performance, particularly from their manager on the line. But that, I mean, as we were saying off air, that shouldn't be written off as pure passion, because there was proper substance to the display and tactical nous as well.
So Everton, Duncan Ferguson has a great start. You mentioned Freddie Ljungberg, he's not ready for the Arsenal job, and I get that, I'm totally with you. Duncan Ferguson does the next game, wins at Old Trafford, wins another. What happens with Duncan Ferguson? Because you do think Ljungberg's ready, and I agree with you. Would Duncan Ferguson be ready for Everton?
No, I don't think he would be. But I can easily see how it happens if you look at what happened with Ollie, you know, going to Man United and winning 2 or 3 games. And once the fans start shouting your name and have an opinion, it's a decision that the chairman of Everton's got to make a decision, hasn't he? I think with the issues when you talk about Everton, you know, Miguel mentioned about they've never done this dealt with this try. Spent a lot of money. You know, I'm not a great squad when you look at it. Waybe going there was a strange one for me. Losing just a guy to PSG was a big mess. They see Liverpool doing so well. They see Liverpool winning trophies, playing the way that they play. They see the Everton owners spending a lot of money, and it's still so far back. Could you then give that money to Duncan Ferguson? The recruitment, the biggest thing in football is recruitment. Spending the money and getting the right players. So there's a lot of things you said to think about Duncan Ferguson. He's never managed before. I think you've got to go away, like I did. I went away and I managed at Macclesfield Town. You know, I ended up managing Blackburn in the Premier League. But I had to go away and learn my trade. I know what you're saying. He knows the club, he knows how the club works. But it's different when you're in that hot seat and you've got to keep getting results week in and week out in the Premier League. But listen, if it keeps winning, who knows?
You know, Ince's just mentioned Everton's opponents there, Manchester United, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Great week. You know, the win against Spurs, the win against Manchester City, and then in midweek against AZ Alkmaar. Still a lot to do though, isn't he?
Yeah, and I suppose the big question maybe is whether this is just a spell like we saw in spring, where there was similar talk about maybe United getting Pochettino, and then Solskjaer just went on a run to basically secure them the gig for, well, in that case, the medium term. Now the wonder is whether this spell will get it for the long term, because he certainly I mean, at the start of that week there was genuine talk, while the United hierarchy were invested in him, there wasn't an appreciation. This was a huge week. If they got turned over twice in a row by Tottenham and City, then it could lead to a change of view at the top of the club, especially with the spectre of Pochettino hanging over everything. Yet those 2 wins, I mean, they've certainly given him the January transfer window. They've given him the time to then bet in those players, I think, regardless of the results from that spell. And it just has completely changed the dynamic. And you can see at the moment, we're not talking about Pochettino at United in the same way. But I agree with Paul, I have to say. I think if I was United, I'd be ruthless. Just Pochettino's the one for them.
Pochettino's the one for them. Well, it's been a great 8 or 9 days from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Let's hear from him now.
It's a vital period for us, of course, and home games we want to get points in. I know Everton. They've had a big upturns with Big Dunk last week, and I watched the game, and it was. It's a team that's going to come here and make it hard for us, but we need to keep carrying on. We're too far behind, so we need to, as you say, just carry this momentum going. And last week was good, but we need to. It's history now. It's the next one, and we just need to keep doing what we're doing and keep developing this team, keep sticking to what we believe in, improving day by day, and I believe then that the result will come.
Lots of good to come. You just mentioned there before we went to see Ollie about Poch. So Poch is available, but in the week Ollie's had, when it was massive pressure, I remember Mourinho, the game against Newcastle around Christmas time, when he won it, when they were losing, and people say that almost saved him his job at that time. That week Ollie's had that pressure to produce those performances back to back against Mourinho and Pep. You've got to give him credit. So why do you still think it's the right time for Poch to go in at Man U?
Purely because he's available, and this is the one they've wanted for a long. It's gone back 3 years now. Everything about it feels so right for him with the club, all the more so because they've suddenly got this focus on youth players. And if you look, actually, Pochettino's greatest virtue at Spurs was probably when he first went into that job, had a young Harry Kane, young Christian Eriksen, a lot of players like that, and he moulded them, Dele Alli, and moulded them into something bigger. And I think...
But isn't Ollie doing this with those players?
It's still too hard to say, I think. And I know, I mean, that's even allowing for 2 brilliant performances in the last week. But then one of the kind of almost criticisms of Solskjaer has been that his approach is suited to playing those big games because it's teams coming at United he can break against. But it's not a system for a big club who, in the majority of their games, will have to take the game to lesser sides. So, I mean, that's what we're going to see over the next few months. And that's, I think, where the real test is. And it's a little bit that thing of getting seduced by the short term and a bit of emotion.
And so you've just said as well, you don't think Ollie, you're not convinced about Ollie yet?
No, I'm not convinced. I wasn't convinced when he took over. I said that. You know, I think, you know, Kelly just touched on it before about Duncan Ferguson. If he keeps winning it gives him time then to do the research, look around. They didn't do that with Ollie. He won 10 games and all the fans were clamoring for him to take the job. They gave him the job. They could have kept right to the end of the season and done their research. We saw this season, I mean, they've been so up and down. I mean, the league form's been terrible, worse for many, many years. And you forget on the back of that, you know, they drew 2-2 at home against Aston Villa, 3-3 away at Sheffield United. 2 teams had just come up from the Championship. So it's not been all blue skies, you know, and I think you're right what you said. Those 2 results against City and Tottenham were massive for him because people were starting to say, is he the right man? And you're going to get that. As soon as Pochettino was available, you could hear the murmurs in the crowd. Is Pochettino? But now, that's just probably stopped him from doing that at the moment. But they're still not there. They're a long, long way from being that way.
And it is amazing. As impressive as those 2 wins were, they weren't actually surprised in a sense. So now United have got 6 wins in the league this season, and 5 of them have been against either a traditional top 6 or the new top 6 in Leicester. So it's...
Yeah, this is going to be such an interesting one, Man United against Everton this weekend, and we're all looking forward to it a lot more after a really good week for both sides. It's also been... Ian Wright is normally here on a Friday, hasn't been for a few weeks because he's been out eating various unmentionables in the bush in Australia, taking part in a television series. However, Righty, you're back in the country.
What's it, Charles?
Hello. You're back in the country, but you haven't come in to see us.
No, I couldn't come in to see you today because I'm still jet lagged. I'm probably going to fall asleep in 2 minutes.
Listen, before you do fall asleep, oh my God, so much has happened. You have had no contact with the outside world while you've been in there. 4 managers have been gone. Where and how did you find out about Emery?
When I came out of the jungle, and I got a message from Alan Shearer, and Alan Shearer gave me all the news. I was absolutely gobsmacked.
Oh my!
Hey, Righty, did he tell you that my handicap's gone down to 3?
No, who's that? Who's on?
Incy.
No, he didn't tell me, but it should be down to 3. You're a
Righty, it's Miguel here. Which one were you most shocked by?
Tottenham.
Mourinho or Poch going?
Yeah. Tottenham, I was delighted that Unai Emery's gone because, like, the progression under him didn't happen.
Yeah.
But, like, having Mourinho at Tottenham just frightened the life out of me because he wins trophies. So that means Tottenham are going to win something at some stage.
They've gone from 14th to 7th place under Jose Mourinho, and there's not a massive gap now to the top 4. It's not even just about winning trophies. They're improving their position in the Premier League table as well.
Yeah, but the thing with Tottenham is that it was all... What was happening under Pochettino? They needed some kind of lift or boost or new players in, but to get a new manager in, it gives those players a lift, and I'm sure that at some stage Mourinho will get to bring in some players. So you have to say, for Spurs, it's going to be like onwards and upwards now, and especially with a manager like that, they must be very excited about it. I'm really jealous of Spurs right now.
Righty, we should really explain to people who might not have been able to watch this, because obviously it's going out around the world. Just explain where you've been and what you've been doing.
Yeah, I was in this television show, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, where we have to eat all sorts of unmentionables and do all sorts of trials underwater or with eating various bodies of animals and stuff like that. It was, to be honest, it was an actual nightmare for me, the anxious and the anxiety. It's something that I would say to anybody. If somebody said, should I do it right here? I would say, don't do that. No, don't do that. The boredom, the starvation and the boredom. Oh my gosh. But in respects of a one-off experience, amazing, but I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I did it.
At least you lost a bit of weight, son.
Well, to be honest, that was one of the main reasons I went in.
Listen, we've been having lots of fun with Robbie in the studio while you've been gone, but we're looking forward to you. You're coming back when? Next week?
Next week, yeah.
Are you looking forward to getting back to it?
I am, to be honest. I can't tell you how much I miss the football, and then coming back and hearing news like that just makes you realise how much I did miss it. So much has happened in such a short space of time. I just feel like I'm so out of the loop.
Would you have said that Leicester were going to be the main challengers to Liverpool?
Probably not, no. But the way that Brendan Rodgers is, and the team that he's got, and the resources he has, he's literally got one of the best jobs in the world. So, I think he's just signed a new contract as well. I think that he's definitely fallen on his feet with Leicester. I don't think they're going to catch Liverpool, but they're going to have a good go.
Righty, it's been an extraordinary few weeks since you've been away. There's so much, as you said, to catch up on, and we can do it all next week when you're back in the studio.
Yeah.
But go and get yourself rested, get over your jet lag, and then you're back in. You're covering a game this week, aren't you?
Yes, I'm doing the Arsenal City game, so it's a big one to come in for.
It is a big one. Look forward to seeing you. Righty, thank you very much. See you next week.
Take it easy, Cal. See you in, see Mig.
See you later, Rotsville. Take care, son.
Bye.
Speak to you later. Now, there might even be another big story to be covering next week when Righty comes back, because Pep Guardiola has been talking today denying that he has a break clause in his contract.
Another report came out yesterday as well about your contract, and specifically whether or not there is a break clause at the end of this season. Can you tell us if that is the case?
No, it's not true.
It's not true?
No.
So does that mean you're definitely going to be here for the duration of your contract?
I just spoke about that few weeks ago, 1 week ago, yeah, about my intentions with the club.
Pep Guardiola then talking about reports that there was a break clause in his contract, but he says, of course, there isn't one. But he does, I mean, the fact even that he's being asked that question points to an unsettled feeling around Manchester City, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I actually do. And you kind of look at them. You can always tell there's something from the manager by his body language. You saw it with Mourinho last year when he was at Man United, and he's got that kind of full-on look on his face. Pep was just like, we've lost the title and there's still the Champions League to go for. But when you talk about the players can't win it, City can't win it, is he thinking about his next move? You know, is he thinking, you know, we talked before about the ageing players, you know, and the squad, you know, do you think that I need to go somewhere else?
Yeah.
You know, this is why I'm not going to throw it out there. This is why Bayern Munich haven't appointed anyone yet. You know, I'm not throwing it out, I'm just saying, you know, but listen, if Pep doesn't win anything, Pep wants to go, Pep will go. No one will dictate to Pep whether he comes or stays. If he wants to go, here goes.
I do wonder whether Pep's fourth season could be the equivalent of Mourinho's third season. Not because of any sort of number on it, because, I mean, his fourth season at Barcelona is the only other time he's gone 4 seasons at another club. It was the only season at Barca he didn't win the league. And I do just wonder, though, whether his style of management, which is so intense, and if you look at the way, like he say, all these massive kind of hyperactive lectures to Raheem Sterling, while that is obviously produces brilliant results, it's kind of unsustainable because no one can kind of, well, both the players and the manager probably can't just work at that level of energy at the same output for that long. You just eventually kind of just gets to you, I suppose. And are the players now, they just need a different sort of mentality. It's always
and it's tough enough to retain the Premier League.
Yeah.
But to do it for the third time, never been done. So who knows?
Who knows what is going to happen? What we do know is that Pep Guardiola has been talking to the media, and that's what he's had to say today. We can also hear now. What do you think, Paul?
It's going to be a tough one. I agree with Robbie that the fact that Tottenham do concede goals. I did the game yesterday, and Wolves are hard to beat at home. You know, they know their shape, they stay in their shape. They've got Jimenez coming back, who's on fire, Jota's on fire. I think Wolves could just nick it. I hope they nick it, because I'm ex-Wolves, of course.
Exactly. So the one that you've got a particular interest in. The rest of them, though, pretty steady. You've got Manchester City winning, you've got a big win for Liverpool, which you explained earlier on, and you've got Leicester winning. So a case of kind of as we were at the top of the Premier League table. Miguel, Paul, thank you very much for coming in to join us.